You paid your bills and you thought you were playing by the rules, and then one day you woke up and found a hole in your bank account, and it wasn't an actual tax check, but it was an actual cash grab. Today I want to talk to you about the influx of UK citizens that we've been working with here at Relocation Serbia, and the reasons that they are looking to move away from UK, and the rules and regulations that the UK government is starting to imply on their citizens. In the recent weeks, we have worked with about 8 clients from the UK, which is a huge uptick from anything that we've seen in the past couple months. And we've had many consultations with at least another dozen UK citizens looking to relocate to this beautiful country of Serbia. And one of the things that they mentioned is not only is it that the thought police, which we're going to get into in a second, are monitoring your Facebook posts and arresting individuals because of the things that they post online. However, now they are implementing rules where they can just simply go into your bank account and withdraw money without any due process, any court order, and then you are left to fight the government on your own and try and restore those funds back into your bank account. And so we're seeing this with not only the UK clients, but a lot of our Western clients who say the taxman isn't just monitoring their profits in their businesses, but also monitoring their bank accounts when they see that you're not paying certain taxes or that you have some sort of discrepancies. Now, what is happening in the UK? The HM Revenue and Customs has restarted the direct recovery of debts. So if you owe more than £1,000 or more, they can simply go into your bank account and withdraw those funds, and they have to leave you with at least £5,000 into your bank account. And those that I've spoken with from the UK say £5,000 does not go very far in that country. Now, what happens with this is that the money moves before the full appeal. And it is combined with a non-dom regime being abolished from April 2025. So you have less certainty for mobile earnings. So it's not just that the taxes are that much higher in the UK now, it's absolutely ridiculous, but now they are also going into your bank account to take out that money. But that's not the only country that we've seen this happen, or it's happening in real time. We saw this first thing with Canada, for instance, and we saw that in 2020, 2021 when the pandemic was happening. And even though that individuals in Canada have the right to protest, if you are part of the Freedom Convoy or saying something against the government there, they would simply go and freeze your assets and you would not have any access to live, essentially. We saw articles of a woman who was not able to purchase formula for her baby. We saw a family that was not able to pay rent and essentially evicted out of their home in Canada. And this is something that is happening more and more often, especially with the amount of money that the Liberal government is giving away to things that are non-essential in Canada. And so with the Canada tax revenue, also you have a requirement to pay or a demand on a third party. And they can just simply send you a bill and say, hey, listen, you owe this money in taxes, and there is no court needed. One of the other things that I just saw, I believe it was last week, that the government of Canada now is also going to be doing your own taxes as well for those that are earning less than a certain amount of money. For the low income earners, the government is going to do your own taxes and you're supposed to just trust them on that. Now, I recently also saw an article from a news company in Canada that said the Canadian Revenue Agency, 86% of the time that they gave any advice to people over the phone, customers they would say, was wrong information. So with that said, how are they going to do your taxes the correct way as well? And now you're supposed to audit the CRA and then get your money back. It just does not make sense. And so I'm not saying that you necessarily have to shut down everything in your home country, but at the same time, you could open up something here in Serbia. Our banking system here is not in the CRS system, so that is something great that many of our clients like. But let's talk about the United States and the IRS. They have a 21-day hold after notice before money can leave your bank account. And so if you don't respond to them in 21 days, they can take your money out of your account with no court order as well. In Australia, there are tens of thousands of garnishee notices, billions in small businesses debt collected post-COVID. And so Australia, we're seeing also a number of people from Australia looking to leave because they're saying it's just getting absolutely ridiculous with the, again, the taxes that they're implementing. I just saw one also in there that Australia now is going to tax you based on the floor that you live in your apartment building, and the higher that you live on the floor, the more taxes that you're going to pay on that. Not sure if that rule actually passed or if they're still toying with that idea, but like you know, with any of these Western governments, if they see a hole or a way that they can extort money out of their citizens, they will. Now, one of the other things that our clients from the UK are also saying, and I mentioned this at the beginning, is the idea of the thought police, that people are getting arrested for posting things online. And to me, this was just absurd, and I had to do some digging, and I found some other countries around there that are have similar stats, you know, that arrested their citizens because they posted things that were hateful or whatever it might be to the internet, and you know, they're thrown in jail. But let's talk about these countries first. So Hungary, 10 people for the last year that they arrested because they maybe had a threat that they posted to someone online. Like, also, let's talk about Azerbaijan. That country is definitely not a democracy whatsoever, like the UK likes to say that they are. There they only had 13 arrests last year. Now let's go to Saudi Arabia, which is definitely not a democracy there. They only had 15. Egypt, 20. Vietnam, 45. The United States, that's got 350 plus million people living in that country, only 50. Now, the UK has a total of 12,183 people arrested last year for posting things online, and that's supposed to be a democratic country. And if you compare that with Belarus, which is an actual authoritarian dictatorship, that the UK has arrested twice as many, where in Belarus it was 6,205. China is at 1,500, and Russia, very bad. You'll see this always through the news, that they're a dictatorship, that they don't have any free speech there. Well, last year that they only had 400 arrests. So let's look at the stats here and talk about who's under a dictatorship. And so let's talk about Serbia, because of course we need to bring in Serbia here. I'm not going to paint Serbia as the best country and that we don't have any arrests, but the stats that I was able to pull for Serbia, 37 since 2014. So we're talking over 11 years ago, we've had only 37 people arrested for some sort of post that they made. I know that there is a law here. I'm not an attorney by any chance, but I know that if you create, stress or panic within society, that you can get arrested. I'm not exactly sure what that law is, but there is a law. But again, 37 since 2014. That's pretty good stats to me, and especially with what we're seeing here with these protests and things of that nature, I would have expected that number to be much higher as well. Now, for the people in the UK, I can now see where they're coming from, not only these issues that I'm talking about, but also the migrant issues that they're having. But let's talk about what you have to look forward to in the UK. You have high taxes plus procedural surprises. So you could be exposed twice as much. You have already high taxes, and say the government says, you owe us even more. They can simply go into your bank account, take whatever they think that you owe them, and then you are left on the hook to dispute that. Now, how is this going to affect your daily operations? You could owe everything and then still have your operations, which is not only business but your personal life. You can have everything frozen. If you own a business, you'll have your payroll fail, your suppliers won't get paid, and then you are also exposed to major risk. And so I would say that if you're sick and tired of dealing with that type of nonsense in the UK, perhaps Serbia is your better option. And I've mentioned this before, 15% flat rate on your corporate side here. Your personal tax system has clear rules. Typically, it's only 10% income tax here. The bank account enforcement here is pretty strict here. A lot of the banks can't just simply go into your bank account without either a customs order, a court order of some sort, or some other authority that has said, hey, listen, this individual has done something wrong, and now we can go into your bank account and take your money or freeze your account or put you before a judge. The rules here are a lot more strict. It's not just so, willy-nilly like you see in the UK and Canada and many of these other Western countries. Now, of course, in Serbia, I'm not talking about money laundering or hiding your tax money here. I'm always talking about, doing things the right way, making sure that you do pay your taxes, and then you're able to do what you want with your money. And I've talked to this about clients who are looking to live off their pension here in Serbia. They're like, well, I'm getting taxed so much in X country, and if I come into Serbia, now I'm going to get taxed there as well. Well, one of the things you also have to understand is that Serbia has tax treaties with many countries around the world. And if you are living off a pension, and you say live in the UK or you're living in Canada, you may want to not pay your taxes, your personal income tax in those countries because the tax brackets are much higher. You may want to move to Serbia where your tax bracket is much lower and you get to keep more of your hard-earned money, that pension that you've worked so hard for. And I think this is a huge issue, especially as the West is declining and enforcing policy overreach. And as people are leaving more and more of these Western countries, these Western nations are shifting their processes from due process to administrative powers with financial risk for you as the individual. A lot of these countries are, in a deficit, and they're looking to keep that budget afloat. Now, taxpayers and you as a taxpayer carry all the risk. The government can do what they want with your money, and they're virtually held unaccountable for it. But if you dare short the government $4.83 on your tax bill, they're going to pretty much ruin you and your life and possibly years to come, and making the onus on you to make sure that you get yourself out of the mistake that they made. So that's why many people are looking to move to other countries around the world, especially the number of UK clients that we're seeing coming here. They still want to live and operate their business with freedom and predictable rules. They don't want things just to come in willy-nilly and the government telling them what to do, and then you have to fight to get yourself out of that. And so what does Relocation Serbia do with our UK clients and many other clients around the world? Well, we help discover a plan to not only help you stay in Serbia, but to be prosperous in Serbia. We establish that plan here. We put in safeguards so that we can make sure that there's double tax treaties. We coordinate things with our tax advisors to make sure that we file the paperwork properly in your home country, and so you're only filing or paying taxes here in Serbia. We're making sure that we set the correct business setup for you. We ensure that we find the correct property for you and your desires as well here in Serbia, and then we execute on that plan with a fully detailed plan of how we're going to do that and make sure that you are in full control as well as fully compliant. And so for those UK citizens that are contemplating on where they can go, because there is very limited amount of choices, especially in the Western world these days, you may want to consider Serbia and to find what true happiness and true control over your life and your money looks like.